What's happening, guys? It's Jeremy Blanton with Remax Southern Shores, and today we're going to discuss 5 reasons why you should avoid moving to South Carolina. Now you might be thinking, what in the world? You're a realtor. Why are you saying reasons we shouldn't move to Myrtle Beach? Why are you telling me I shouldn't move to South Carolina? Well, here's the thing. I want to make sure that people are moving here are moving for the right reasons, and that you understand the good, the bad, and the ugly of making the move to the area. I moved down here in 1998 from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area, and when we moved here, there was a lot of things that wasn't shared with us that I didn't know. Back then, there wasn't YouTube, there wasn't the ability to find information online, and well, we went through a lot of these things and struggled through it for the first several years of living here. And I want to try to help make everyone else's job much easier when you're moving here by sharing some of the things that just really frustrated me. Some of the things that we deal with each and every day that you may just say, if I knew that ahead of time, I would have never made the move. So today we're going to discuss those 5 things. And at the end, I'm going to throw in a bonus one for you because I'm feeling generous today as well. But let's get into these 5 reasons why you might not want to consider making the move to the area. So the first one on the list is probably one of the biggest, and whenever I meet a buyer client in person for the first time, I always share this with them because, well, they don't understand it, and that's this. When you move here, you're probably gonna despise and just downright hate living here for probably the first 30, 60, maybe even 6 months. Heck, if you were like my father, probably 15 months living here. And that is just simply the speed at which things get done. One of the big reasons why everyone loves to move down to South Carolina and move here is they want a more relaxed lifestyle. They want an easier pace of life. They don't want to be in the hustle and bustle that the Northeast used to have for them, or living out in California. They want to go to an area where they can relax, that they can enjoy things, that they can go just sit on the beach. Well, when you get the relaxed and easy living and just that slower pace of life, you also though get the slower pace of work with that. So you might have some projects that you're wanting done at your home and you think, well, it should take a week or 2 to get done. And unfortunately, it might take 3 weeks. It might take 4 weeks. Things definitely are much better nowadays than when we moved here. But I'll never forget that when we first moved down here, one of the things my father wanted to do was put in just a simple patio out back. And it's something that was just pouring some concrete, basically putting some brick around the outside and an inlay of brick in the center of it. Probably should have taken at max maybe 2 weeks to be done, even if it was rainy weather. Well, we went almost 3.5 months and still didn't have a brick patio by the time it was done. The contractors that we would hire would come and we'd say, hey, when are you coming? Yeah, I'll be there Tuesday. Well, we forgot to ask which Tuesday where they were coming, and it wasn't this one, it was next one they were coming. So when you move down here, you just have to realize you can't change the speed at which things are gonna get done. You're gonna try to fight it. You're gonna try to make people move faster and do it the way you want it done and the way you're used to doing it up in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. But down here, it's not gonna happen. So once you finally learn, you can't beat them, so you might as well join them and just relax and go to the speed it's gonna happen. Then life gets a lot better. And that's the first thing that I wanted to share with y'all, is the speed at which things get done. The second thing on the list that you really got to pay attention to if you're thinking about making the move here is the tourism that we have here in the Myrtle Beach area. Each year, I was told recently, we see close to 17 million visitors to our area each and every year. That is a ton of tourism taking place here. You know, I've shared in the past about our restaurants, that we have enough restaurants here that you could eat 3 meals a day for 1.5 years and never eat the same place twice. That's because we have all these places that set up for the tourism that are catering to those that are in town. So what does that mean? It means that when you're on the roads traveling and trying to get around, road rage might start to take place because there's a lot of tourists. They make the tourist left, where they're in the right lane on 17 and go, oh, there's the Outback, and they cut across 3 lanes, do a U-turn to get back and pull into the Outback. They got to get that bloomin' onions. So just get out the way and just give them a minute. It's all right. You're also going to run into, when you get to those restaurants, maybe longer wait times. That's one of the reasons why I create videos every year, and it's going to come again here in the next few months, another video on the top local restaurants to eat here in the area. I don't go to those places where I'm going to have to sit and wait 1.5 hours to eat. The most I've had to wait in probably the last 2 years of living here is about 15 minutes for a table at any restaurant that I go to, because I know where the local spots are where we can get good food at a good price in good time. So Tourism is probably the biggest factor next to the speed at which things go that you may not be able to deal with moving here to the Myrtle Beach area. So the third thing on the list that I want to make sure you know about is one that's been very damaging in our area, and that is flooding in just the low country that we have here in the area. It's known as the low country. Well, why is that? Our elevation here at Myrtle Beach is about 20 to 40 feet through just about the entire Horry County area. To give you a comparison, last week my wife and we went up to Asheville, North Carolina and went to the Biltmore Estate. While we were getting up there, we just felt like we were going uphill, 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 uphill the whole time getting there. So I pulled out my compass app on my phone and looked at it, and it said that we were at 2,300 feet. That's a huge difference. What does that mean when you're down here in the low country? That some of the areas are much more prone to have flooding issues take place. Back during 2019 when Hurricane Florence came through, we didn't have major damage from the hurricane. What we had major damage was from the flooding that came about a week to 10 days after the storm had already blown through the area. We didn't have damage down at the beach along the ocean. We had it inland along the rivers and streams and creeks and ponds and lakes that just overfilled with water and didn't have a place to go. So flooding is definitely something you want to pay attention to make sure that you don't get in an area where it floods. If you're buying a house, that's why I tell people all the time, it's super important to get someone to help you when you're buying a home. I'd love to help you with it, but even if you don't want to use me as your realtor, I get it, but please hire someone to help you, because we're going to be able to tell you, did this area flood? We're going to be able to pull up documents and disclosures on that home that's going to share. Was there ever flooding in the home? Was there ever a FEMA claim against the property? If you find a house that's maybe 15 years old, but everything inside it looks brand new and was just replaced since 2019, you might want to have a little caution and pause before you go and sign it on the dotted line to purchase that house, because it could have been one that had 6 to 8 feet of water in it. Why is it all new? Well, everything was flooded and had to be ripped out and replaced. Those types of things are happening all throughout the area, and that's why it's super important to have somebody to help you when buying. But flooding is definitely something you want to pay attention to and think about before making the move down here. The fourth thing on the list is the weather that we have here. Now, while it's one of the big reasons why people love to move here because, hey, they're tired of shoveling snow, it's probably the top reason why people are leaving the Northeast. People are done shoveling snow all winter long. That and high taxes are definitely the two reasons why everybody's leaving New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and all those areas. If you're watching this video right now and you're looking at it thinking the same reason because of that, leave a comment down below and say, I want out of the snow for me. And it'll just make everyone realize how important this is right now. But one of the things that you want to pay attention to here is not only do we have the nice mild winters where it's not cold, where you're going to see very, very minimal snow if at all, but then you also have some other seasons which can be a little extreme. Our springtime that we have here, or pollen season as I like to call it, can be very heavy at times. I remember a few years back I had a black car at the time, and I could literally go out and write "wash me" on it, and you could read it from 100 yards away because the pollen was that thick. So during pollen season, we're just hoping and praying for a nice heavy rain to come in and just kind of rinse it all down and wash it out. And so my allergies, they don't like pollen season. The other thing that you have to pay attention to then is the season we're in now, which is summertime. Summertime can be hot. Now, luckily, if you're over near the coast and within a couple miles of the ocean, there's always going to be a light breeze that kind of goes through the area. But as you start to get farther inland towards like Conway, Aner, Gallivant's Ferry, and in that area, that ocean breeze goes away and it can just be downright hot and humid. The temperature may read 85 degrees on a thermostat, but when you throw humidity into the mix, it feels like about 103, 105 degrees, and it can be just downright brutal. So you want to pay attention to that. And if you're someone who says, I can't deal with heat and I can't deal with that much hot, you might want to pause before making the move here. But if you say at the same time, I can deal with heat, I don't want snow anymore, and I don't want to be stuck inside for half the year because I can't go out, then definitely think about making the move to Myrtle Beach. And the fifth and final thing that I wanted to talk about today is just the critters, the bugs, the wildlife, everything that takes place down here in the South. It's a hot, humid, moist area that we live in. It's sandy soil. And so we have very different critters and bugs and just animals than what you might have where you live right now. For some reason, whenever it's somebody moving from New York, the biggest question I always get asked is, are you gonna have alligators? Are there alligators around in the area? Yes, there can be alligators that are here in the area. The reality is this though, if you let the alligators alone, they normally are going to leave you be as well. I would not suggest if you live on a pond or on a lake that you just, if you have a puppy or a small child, that you let them go out and play by the water's edge. There could be an alligator in there. But if you have a fenced yard and you're in your own backyard, you're never going to have to worry about them bothering you. The other thing that you got to pay attention to is we do have snakes. I'm not a snake person of any snake. People ask all the time, is this a dangerous snake or a good snake? No, to me, the only good snake is a dead snake. I'm sorry if that upsets you, but I am not a fan of things that slither. But we do have some snakes that are gonna be in the area here. So you just need to pay attention when you're walking out in the woods, that there might be a copperhead that's nearby. Or if you're by a pond or a lake, that there could be a water moccasin that comes out of there or something like that. And so you just take those things into account and you're okay. Now, the other types of bugs that we have here, the ones that probably upset people more are first off the little water bugs or roaches that might be crawling around in your house. You can walk into a dark room and you flip the light on and there's one there on the floor and just starts to scamper around all of a sudden. And so you quick call your husband and they come running, and this is what happens at my house. Jeremy! And I go in, and that's the end of that. And it makes a good crunch when you get them. So, those types of things people don't like all the time. But if you keep your house treated on a quarterly plan, you shouldn't see a lot of those things take place. The other bugs that you're gonna see a lot of down here is number one, termites, which is why it's super important that if you have a home and it has a termite bond, that you renew that each and every year to keep it up to date, to keep your house safe so that you don't have to worry about termite damage taking place. Those little critters can cost thousands and thousands of dollars of damage in just a few months' time. And then the other part with that as well is probably what I call the national animal or national critter of South Carolina, and that is mosquitoes. I don't know why, but they love to bite me. I had one the other day, bit me right here in my finger, and I just walked around all day going like this because it just itching. Oh, I just made it itch again right now doing that. But mosquitoes, they're down here everywhere, and so you might have to treat your lawn for it. Luckily, they make things that you can hook to your hose and do it, or what I will find sometimes in parts of the neighborhoods, there's actually a truck that you'll hear in the middle of the night, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, and it goes around, and it sounds almost like a vacuum running really loud. And it goes down the street and it's basically putting out stuff to take care of the mosquitoes. But mosquitoes are something else you're definitely gonna deal with here. So if those things freak you out and you can't deal with it, maybe South Carolina is not the place for you. But if you're able to get past those things, then definitely consider making the move here. You're gonna love all of the great things that South Carolina has to offer. And before I share some of the benefits of being here, let me share a bonus one with you. And that is one that I hear a lot as well, as Jeremy, I can't find a good high-paying job in the area. People down here that work are paid significantly less than for the same career in other parts of the country. You might be in a city right now where you're paid $80,000 a year to do a job, and you want to do the exact same thing down here and you're only making $60,000. Yeah, it's a major pay cut, but at the same time, you have to take into account your cost of living is much less here. If you live in New Jersey, for example, you might be paying $800 to $1,000 a month in taxes for your home. Down here, you're gonna pay that same $1,000 to $1,200 for the entire year. So you're saving right there a big chunk of change. Cost of living for just day-to-day products that you're gonna need, groceries, gas, milk, those types of things, they're significantly less here. The other day I was checking gas here in South Carolina versus other states in the country were easily 30 to 60, some places well over $1 less per gallon than other parts of the country. So while it might be you're getting less money for your income, you're also gonna have a lot less going out for expenses. So guys, those are some things you want to pay attention to when you're thinking about making the move here. And those things that I shared today, those 6 items you just can't deal with, then maybe South Carolina is not the right place for you to go. But if you're looking for a place where you can come live in a gorgeous area where we have sun most of the year. I talked to someone the other day coming from the Northwest where all they ever see is clouds and dreariness and rain and just gloominess. And they're so excited to be here because they're gonna have sun most of the year. If you're used to having those types of things, if you wanna be close to the beach, you wanna be close to things to do and just have a lot of stuff around you that you can enjoy life with, think about making the move down to Myrtle Beach area, and I'd love to help you make that move. My contact information is down below, and as always, if you enjoyed today's video, do me a favor, give it a thumbs up, get the bell on, and I'll catch you next one. See ya.